What's up, Buck fans? Happy Wednesday. Welcome to another great episode of Bucs Report, the aftermath on 102.9 Game Broad Street South Radio. I hope you guys get ready. Tune in. We're gonna have a blast from the past type of segment for the next few weeks. We're gonna talk about the title of the show for the next few weeks is gonna be what it could have been with certain Bucs players that had the potential to be great, but they fell short for whatever reason, but they still left an impressionable impact on the Bucs. So, further ado, welcome to the show. Slick, hit that shit. What's up, y'all? Firing them cannon, Bucs fans again. Welcome to another episode of the Bucs Report, the aftermath, 102.9 Game Broad Street South Radio. It's one of your hosts, AJ Turner in the house. We got Coach Slick, aka the British guy who's always fly, and that's the coach right there for the Steelers. And again, check it out. Give Coach Slick an opportunity. He's doing a hell of a job. How you doing tonight, Slick?
I've just come back from practice, so I've literally just had to swallow down some food and then get ready for this. So it's an all action day for me. I haven't stopped since 7 a.m. So
damn. Well,
it's it's midnight now, so it's a different day.
See, the grind never look. Well, then happy Thursday. So it's Throwback Thursday, and it's very appropriate because we're going to be talking about some throwback players that made an impressionable impact on the Buccaneers. And we were just like, and again, the title of the show tonight, guys, is what it could have been. What it could have been. We've all had those players that meant something to us in our, like for us Bucs fans. We were like, damn, if this person had this moment or this opportunity or no injuries happened, man, what could they have done? And I broke it down, guys. And again, go check out what I just posted a video yesterday on. It's about Bucking Time, and it's perfectly fitting to what I'm going to talk about. It was called Remember Cadillac Williams. So I'm going to bring that up, Slick. This guy right here, Carnell Williams, but we all know him as Cadillac Williams. This guy had the potential to be super great. Now, I can just tell you this. Tell me exactly what memorable moments that you had about Cadillac Williams, Slick? Because I want to give you the floor first before I go on my.
You know what? Unfortunately, he's before my time.
He was before your time.
Before my time. I know about him. I don't know. I didn't really get the chance to watch him.
Oh man, look, I'm gonna just tell you this right now, especially coming from a guy who's from the South. We rocked with Cadillac. First of all, I knew that dude like since college at Auburn when it was him, Ronnie Brown. People forget Brandon Jacobs there. Auburn had a squad back then. So I'm just gonna break down the history of Cadillac. He was a first-round pick for us, the 5th pick in 2005. My man had a 5-year deal, $31 million. For a running back back then, look, as you can see, that's when running backs were very valuable price-wise back then. Mm-hmm. And I'm here to tell you, Slick, his rookie season, he gave you hope that this guy was going to be something. One thing about Cadillac was he was an all-purpose back. He could run between the tackles, had great vision. He could stiff arm. He was a great catch and receiving running back. When his first instinct, so the first 3 weeks, he put up amazing numbers. He was the first rookie since 1955 for the Baltimore Colts running back Alan Amady to have 3 100-yard games. This man had 434 yards his first 3 games. And his cleats and his gloves are in the NFL Hall of Fame.
That's awesome.
He was killing it versus the Minnesota Vikings, the Buffalo Bills, and the Green Bay Packers. We were 3-0 back then, and that was the time he eclipsed 1,178 yards and 6 touchdowns his rookie season, and that's when the Bucs were in the playoffs that year when we were the #1 defense because we were old smash mouth football. Cadillac had it, and he could pass block. But his biggest kryptonite was injury bugs, man. The injury bug bit him in the ass. The 07 season, he tore his patellar tendon. Yeah, and that was bad. And it was an infamous game because this is when the time where I told people you got to show Steve Smith respect. So Cadillac was making a run. He tried to run the guy over, but his body and his knee turned an entirely different way. But shout out to Steve Smith on this. He was signaling the refs to come in to help him. He was like, help this guy, help him. So for Buck fans, I know we have a lot of shit to say about Steve Smith, but what you cannot say is that man, he respects players. You show he had love for you. But Cadillac in 08, he was trying to come back, and then he tore his other patellar. And it just looked like the injury bug was just fucking with him. And of course the Bucs, but here's what happened. This is before I'll finish up. He made a decent comeback in 09 with 823 yards and 4 touchdowns. He was the comeback player. He beat out Tom Brady. So he was doing the thing there. But then the best success that he had with the team was 2010 when the Bucs came close to the playoffs again. When the Bucs went 10-6, his best game was when he was going against the Panthers, ironically, and the 49ers. But after that, he got traded to the Rams, and he just wasn't the same. And when we drafted LeGarrette Blount, that's when we knew his days were done. And it's a damn shame, but what I feel that ruined him, Slick, was they put too much pressure on him. Gruden ran him into the ground because he already had injuries in college at Auburn. Do you know his first year? Guess how many carries that he had his first year? If you had to say what,
I'm looking at it now. So I'm looking at it now. 120 first year, 141 the year after that, 241 the year after that, and 239. Then you go and see what the Buccaneers did with him.
Yeah,
his first year with the Bucs is 290 carries.
Yes. Yeah, the Cadillac, they ran that engine into the ground.
They ran it in the dirt.
Yeah, and that is the impact that Cadillac had. And if you don't mind, Slick, I want to give you a little example. Since I like this, I like the fact that he was a little before you, because now you're about to get a glimpse of greatness. And I know for the Buck fans out there, they're like, yeah, we like to see this. So shout out to you, Jeff Olsen, Yo-Yo. Hey, guys, comment when I show you these Cadillac highlights. Slick, just tell me what you think as a coach. We're about to get ready to watch some greatness, y'all. This is a throwback day. Let's do this.
Against the Bucs, 15 interceptions. Tosses to Cadillac Williams, and he almost broke that.
From the 21, on first down, Cadillac Williams up the middle, big hole. Williams across midfield. Receiver today. Cadillac Williams. This is show to Texas. Penalty marker as Cadillac. We'll see what the Buccaneers do here on 3rd down and 6. Sims under pressure, gets rid of it to Cadillac. Cadillac Williams over the 100-yard mark and into the end zone.
Power OT. They pull the right guard, Sean Mahan right there. Gets a good block from Allstott.
Williams.
First, 3rd and 1. Going to Cadillac, and Cadillac is looking to bust.
Yes, a mean
hard lines, great angles, ability to change in direction is fantastic. Yeah,
that guy, man. I'm gonna tell you that Green Bay game was crazy because he was hurting a little bit, but he still toughed it out. He came back in there and he bulldozed people, and he was a nice he was a nice size running back, and a lot of people were like, wow, this guy had everything going for him, as you can see. Now, tell me, what was out of that entire little highlight, what was the most impressive thing that you saw from Cadillac?
It's the lines that he runs. So he doesn't run just straight. He runs at a slight diagonal tilt, which allows it pulls defenders left and right. So once you start moving in a direction, you don't ever want to go lateral. You want to go when you're running to go towards the goal line, right?
Mm-hmm.
You want to run horizontal, but you don't want to just run straight ahead because that's a nice, easy turn. But when your body's turned like this, it's a much smaller tackle space to get hold of. So you make your body smaller, it's harder to tackle. And then you're looking to tackle something when it's like a car. You're driving a car and you hit another car at an angle, you just like, it's like that. It's that kind of level of trigonometry that it's so much harder to bring something down when it's coming at a diagonal angle rather than just going straight like that. If you're coming down like this, you've got to hit it just right. Because if you miss it, you're going to bust it. And then you've got to rely on the secondary help to come down there or whoever's available to come down to try and get him down. So he looks like he'd be that kind of guy that it would take more than one, unless it was a really good tackle, to take him down because his just angles are just really nice.
His angles were very nice. Another thing that he did that I think a lot of running backs need to start learning and remember doing, especially when you have that size where you're not too tall, but you're tall enough and short enough to get low, he goes forward. Did you see him? He never typically tried to avoid contact. He went into it and he absorbed it because, the biggest thing is the lower man wins. So when he would fall forward, that's gaining yards. And the way that you see how he would put his body underneath the tacklers, he would try to go underneath their shoulder pads or their chest pads and move them. That was something that there's certain things that as running backs nowadays, that's why I say if running backs nowadays want to get that money, run like Cadillac because the game is different. Do you see how those defenses were back then? They had the green light to be nastier. So for Cadillac to do what he was doing back then, that's incredible. But again, it came at a cost because, guys, Slick has said it best. You cannot win a Super Bowl with running the ball because that's what happened eventually.
It really does help. And, if you have that ability to run and pass it, you can go with what's hot. Yeah. So if you're running the ball and you're getting success, you'll stick with running the ball and use the pass to keep them honest. If you're passing the ball and you're getting success, you're going to run the ball to keep them honest.
Mm-hmm.
But being able to go to one or the other, because it's the only two things you can do. You can either win through the pass, win through special teams, and you can also win through defense. But generally, you're going to win with your offense.
That's right.
Especially in modern-day football.
At modern-day football, and exactly. And then we just said it, his rookie season, 290 carries. I honestly think, in my opinion, Slick, when the playoffs came around that time, Cadillac's body was worn down. He didn't believe it. He had burst, but this is still when Allstott was there. But at that point, I honestly think because had they have been smart, the way that Bruce Arians was using Fournette, that's how the Bucs should have used Cadillac. You should have only allowed him to play a certain amount because the Bucs still had a hell of a defense back then. So, and Allstott was on his last legs because he eventually retired 2 years after that. So if you go back and watch the game, and also we weren't Chris Sims, bless his heart, he was good, but he was decent. He couldn't get it done, like you said. At that point, Gruden should have been able to mix it up. You should have been able to have a balanced attack because, again, Cadillac was so worn out. We played the Redskins, and they simply just said, okay, stop the run, make Chris Sims beat us. And he couldn't do it. That's
the hallmark of all the any team that's heavily reliant. How you beat the Titans, right? They're a very good run team. Their quarterback can make passes. However, you stop their run, they become very one-dimensional because you're asking. Of course, every quarterback has his day. Sometimes even the backup quarterbacks, they'll win a game here and there, and they'll get put on SportsCenter and what have you, and that's all well and good, but to do it consistently, and that's what the Titans never found because they could never really find it. They thought what they had was enough, and that was the shortcomings of Mike Vrabel was the fact that he wasn't willing to go and find a quarterback. He was like, well, I've got Ryan Tannehill and I can work with that. You can, but it won't win in playoff time. he's not a playoff winning quarterback. He might win a playoff game. And yes, I know they went to the AFC Championship game. What was it? AFC Championship? It was the game before the AFC Championship. There's one year that they did really, really well, right?
Yeah, divisional. The AFC divisional.
Okay, so they won a playoff game and then lost in the division. So that's hidden. Bad coach has done that.
Yep.
So
exactly.
it doesn't mean it doesn't really mean anything. And I think, like, I look at the Ravens, the way they're built, I don't think they can win a championship. And I'm not saying they can't. I'm just saying I just don't see it on the horizon because they're a very one-dimensional team.
Right.
Now, they're very useful in the sense of, in terms of their running attack is so multifaceted that it's not just one. It's a two-headed beast. You know, you've got multiple people who can run the football, and I think they're trying to find wide receivers who can do it too. So they're just going to play with the run in every which way. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to run fits and run fit fundamentals. And if you've got those down, a very good defense, it won't make a difference.
It won't make a difference, guys. As you hear from the coach, it won't make a difference. And then, again, what you do in the regular season, the playoffs, that gives your opponent time to review what you did. Because, yes, during the regular season, Cadillac he carried the team so well in the run game. Defenses did have to load the box, and that is when Chris Sims had some kind of advantage because they were finally like, oh shit, well, we can't stop this guy. But when the playoffs came around, yes, Cadillac by then, I just think those injuries and him tearing his patelin in 2007, I think he played cautious because he tried to be the same explosive guy he was in 2005, but it just wasn't there anymore. And
also, when you got, what did you say? He got injured in 1 year, and then was it the following year he broke the other patella?
Yep. The other.
Imagine the psychological thing that has on a player, right? So you've just rehabbed from a patella tendon. It's a big injury, and I don't care what anyone says. Someone can sit here with their couch with their beer and their fucking potato chips. I will tell you the mental fortitude that it probably takes to get through that shit. Rehabbing to then go back on the field and then get injured again with another potential career-ending injury. Eventually, you've just got to go, you know what? Maybe it's just not for me. Maybe it's not meant for me. Maybe it's not on the cards for me. And of course, he's now become the Raiders running backs coach. So that's kind of cool to see that it's kind of come full circle. He's had a little stint as an interim head coach for his alma mater as well. So, you know, it's not all, his story's not finished being written. His football story's still going.
Yeah.
But it's sad that his playing career was brought abruptly short.
Right, because he had the potential, guys. As you can see in those videos, man, Slick over here, Buck fans, we love that because we thought we were finally building a squad with Chris Sims, Michael Clayton, who had a sensational 2004 rookie season, and then Cadillac Williams. So in the way the Bucs struck lightning back-to-back with rookies. So we were on the impression, okay, and our line was good in 2005. A lot of people forget that the Bucs O-line was solid. And then in 2006, we got the guard Davin Joseph, who had potential. So we were looking up. It was an upside, but then, of course, eventually, I'd say for me by 2008, after he tore it the second time, like you said, I was like, I want him to be better, but I don't know. And then when LeGarrette Blount came to us, and after I saw him do that damn leap in Arizona, I was like, okay, I love you, Cadillac, but you got to go now. But Cadillac's impact that rookie season is arguably one of the, it's to me, top 5 best rookie sensations for the Bucs history because he brung you everything. He brung you toughness, and he was a team player. And besides, the name is cool. Cadillac, that's a hell of a name. Cadillac Williams. Nobody even calls him Carnell, probably. We would look at him and say, what's up, Cadillac? Yep. Like, look, man, that guy, look, again, just want to say again for this man right here, Cadillac Cadillac Williams, thank you because you brought so much. And again, we know that personally from looking at that, you had the potential and your numbers showed it your rookie season. You were rookie of the year. You was the man. So thank you again for that. And again, Buck fans, if you want to chime in, Send us messages of Buck players that you feel that had the potential. Again, I always say it. The three things is either injury, personal issues, or it was a business thing that messed it up. So that's my guy, guys. That's my person that I just grew up in. 24, and that's my favorite number. So it was just a match made in heaven. But now that we have talked about my little throwback,
we got the one we got the injury prone one.
Yes,
here's one for you that I think a lot of Buccaneers fans were expecting to become great. Never really happened. And there's two of them that did the same thing, just one stuck around a little bit longer, and they both left the team for different reasons. Austin, Safari, and Jenkins.
Yeah. Austin,
so
what?
Talented.
Very talented.
So talented, just could not keep his nose clean.
Couldn't. He gives me, who else he reminds me of that was the same build too, which I find very funny. Jeremy Stevens.
Mm-hmm.
Remember when the Bucs drafted we didn't draft him. He came from Seattle, but a 6'7" guy. It's like you're a 6'7" tight end. You have the potential, and Jeremy Stevens had off the field issues. Austin just couldn't. Yeah, like you said,
couldn't get it done.
If Austin, and he would have been a matchup nightmare. Can you imagine 6'7"? In the red zone, he's gonna command double coverage. Hell, if he had his shit together, there's no reason that Mike Evans couldn't have got at least 20 touchdowns, because you're gonna have to guard somebody. Can you imagine if Austin could have just stayed, his mindset could have been average. Winston might have thrown for like 40 touchdowns.
It could have been a lot bit. It could have definitely been a lot better, but unfortunately, it did not happen. Now I've got a couple of guys in that era, so I'm going to just bounce a few out. Kendall Beckwith, that's an injury one for me. We didn't really get to see the potential, but the flashes were there. The Devin White pick probably doesn't get made. But look, all these things happen for a reason. It all brought Brady here. It all got us to where we are, which was another championship. I do think if Kendall Beckwith was good, they wouldn't have kept someone like brought on Devin White, who we did need to win that chip. I don't care what anyone says. We needed him to win the chip for sure. I don't know if Kendall Beckwith does that. I genuinely don't know. But it's a shame that somebody with so much talent, it just ended up kind of falling off. There's something about these LSU linebackers that we got to stay away from.
Yes. We just
stay away from them.
I think Beckwith, though, out of all of them, where hurts is that he had the mindset to be team mentality. His injury, like you said, just blocked him, because you're right. Beckwith, from what I saw, his coverage in the passing was very good. I was like, oh, shit, he can cover. He can actually cover. Mm-hmm. But again, yes, it's just something about LSU linebackers. The Bucs just strike out with that. We need to go back and start drafting.
We got three of them as well. And in recent years, this isn't like in a 10-year span. This is probably in less than 5.
Yeah. We got to go back to the drawing board and start drafting Florida State or Florida linebackers. We need to get those guys. Stay away from LSU. Them dudes down there just be thinking they just got too much ego for whatever reason. They got a lot of ego. Even with Fournette kind of guy. But they got us he got us a championship.
He got us a chip, so we'll be forever grateful. Okay, so here's someone who's currently on the squad that it could really go down to this. JTS. This is a gentleman that, again, has shown some flash.
Yes.
There are times, especially last year. Last year, there was a lot more flash. I am starting to see more flash than the lowlights. The issue is the consistency is just not there yet. We all keep hoping for that breakout year so we can go, we got our guy. If I'm honest, I don't want JTS to have a breakout year. I want him to have a very good year. Now, there's a reason for this. Buccaneers can sign him a lot cheaper on a longer deal.
Absolutely. I want him to be
I want him to hit like that 7 to 8 sacks. You know, he's on the cusp, was away, missed a couple. So when you really, the coaches out there, realistically, if it was just a quarter of a second longer, this guy could have 14 sacks. Let's keep this guy. And of course, he wouldn't be a person that people are throwing money at. So, and then the next year he goes off when he's got what he wants. But this is the guy on our current squad that could be one of those what ifs, and we could be talking about in the future. Saying, if he could just control his speed, because it's the one thing that I always find that I can get a little frustrated when I watch him is he's not able to put that foot in the ground and change direction. He's very just one note in what he does, which I think is great for packages. Like if you wanted to force a quarterback to run one way,
yes,
I think you could really use him to put the pressure on, and like an overload blitz for the sake of argument, and that he would push somebody to the other sideline. But I think that's all at the moment. That's all I can see he can do. I mean, he can get to the quarterback. He's a rotational, and he can rotate, but that's all I kind of see for him until he kind of figures out how to control that speed. Because once he learns how to play outside to inside, then I reckon he'll be a force to be reckoned with. Yes. Genuinely think he'll be a force to be reckoned with, and which is why it's so sad that it's not happened yet.
I think, that too. One thing I will give him is that he does have a relentless motor. I say that because in the playoffs,
Chase plays down.
That infamous moment when number 23, because I'm not even going to say his name. He's not even worth naming. Number 23 allows a rookie tight end because he takes the shittiest angle known to man. And if it wasn't for JTS being relentless, he would have gotten further. Hell, he might have scored a touchdown. That's how great that I was like, okay, I can respect it. I can respect it.
His pursuit and his makeup speed is one of the things. I think I wouldn't be surprised if he was, like, let's say, lackluster, and he's kept around as a special teams guy.
Yes.
Because his ability to just get up the field and do something. I think he'll have a career in the NFL for a lot longer than people would think. I don't think after this season, if he doesn't do it, he's not in the NFL. I think he's in the NFL for a minimum of another 2 years plus.
If he can keep himself healthy and if his pursuit and his speed stays the same, he'll be in the NFL longer than that because, like you said, he will bounce around and he won't demand. Those type of guys know I can't demand a certain level of dollars, but at least I'm making money. You want to be that player, like you said. There are players who've been in the league 10 years where they're like, hey, look, I stuck around, I did my job. The most I've made, the biggest deal I got was like $6 million or something. But I made that money, and I learned how to make it invest the right way. So I think he'll be maybe the 6 to 7 year kind of guy in the league because, like you said, he has pursuit. That is something that shows effort, and coaches will like that. Hell, for all we know, he can go somewhere else and they find better use for him. Look at what Mark Barron was for the Bucs when he went to the Rams. They finally realized, okay, you're not really a safety. You're more of a linebacker. We're going to put you in.
They put him in the linebacking position? The middle.
And he was
thickest of all the linebackers, the heaviest of all the linebackers, other than edge defenders. They put him there.
Yep.
They put him there, and we put him at safety.
Exactly. Yes.
It says a fucking lot, doesn't it? I've never actually looked. I remember once years ago looking at Mark Barron's weight. I was just shocked at how he's just a heavy safety. I'm like, no, that's not a heavy safety.
Yeah, I think so too. I just think that we was in that era where we had a shitty coaching Schiano that didn't know what the hell he was doing or what. The best thing that Schiano ever did was use the versatility of Levante David. That's when I saw that was the best Levante David we ever seen because he could cover, and people forget he can blitz very well. And he wasn't just a sneaky type of he knows how to get in between the tackles. So it's not out of the question. It's not far-fetched. I told people if they wanted him to be a pass rushing kind of guy, he could have done it. Would he have been a 15, 16 sack kind of linebacker? No, but he could have been between 8 to 10 sack kind of linebacker. He would have been what people say Fred Warner is. Levante in that era under Schiano was the all-purpose package. I told people Schiano used him the right way, but everybody else, like you said, he didn't know what the hell he was doing. So yeah, but back to your original person, JTS. To me, I don't want him to have a breakout season. I want him to be a 6 to 7 sack guy. I actually have more hopes in Broswell because Broswell is a guy that I tell people look out for because I think he can be the guy that can be between the 6 to 8 sack kind of person because we already know. I told you, Canty is going to be the guy in the trenches.
If you have three linebackers all punching 8 sacks apiece, then you have Canty saying going into the 6 to 8 mark. Then you have Vita Vea going into the 6 mark because he's a nose tackle. He's probably not going to command that many. And then you have at least 3 or 4 players with 2 to 3.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of sacks. Yeah, you may not have the one guy, but you have the guys, if that makes more sense.
Well, you got a squad. I tell people, well, AJ, would you rather have one guy who can get you 16, 17 sacks? No, I want the guy where I got 3 people that can give me combinations between 6 to 8 sacks. And they go, why? Because they're going to be better use when playoffs come, when this clutch time, because you already know you can double that 16, 17 guy and even
you've only got that one guy. You only got that one guy.
Yep. That one guy. And if you do it right with the depth, I tell people that's what made the Bucs dangerous the Super Bowl run. Not only was JPP and Shaq Barrett dangerous, you had Levante David, Ndamukong Suh, Vita Vea, you had Antoine Winfield, then you had Edwards, you had Whitehead, you had we had a squad. Our team was so much better in depth against the Chiefs. I told people that's why the Bucs were the better team. The Chiefs were the popular players. Tyreek Hill, popular. Kelsey, popular. Mahomes, popular. Matthew, he ain't no honey badger no more. He's a damn honey rodent. But anywho, so you had more marquee name players, but that doesn't mean that they had the better team. So, like we just said, JTS, I need you to be that 6 to 7 guy. Let Braswell be that guy. Yaya's gonna go off, but I already told you. Canty to me is going to be that 10+ sack guy, and Vita Vea is going to help him because if you go and look at it, Vita Vea is in good shape, and I think he's lost weight too, so I think he's going to be more fluid and he's going to be flexible. The trenches is going to be deadly for your Bucs, Slick. The trenches is going to be nasty because again we have the depth. I'm not looking for everybody to be a superstar. I'm looking for everybody to do their job. That's why the Patriots were champions. Guys, if you look at it, outside of Vince Wilfork and Seymour, of course, everybody else on their squad were average to above average players. They weren't all superstars. You don't need to be. You get the right people. So with that being said, again, you got another player, Slick, that you want to talk about that has the potential?
I've got a few. I mean, I got Let's go with organizational fails.
Okay.
There's 2 here. There's 2, and they both play the same position. Doug Williams and Steve Young.
Yes. Now,
organizational fails. So this was not on them at all.
No.
This was entirely on the organization. Fans were not happy that these people left, especially Doug Williams. I remember that being so much. Because of how much success he did have success at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they let him go. Where Steve Young, as much as we saw the success after when he left, and that's a bit of pill to swallow, he wasn't great when he was with the Bucs. So we can swallow that going, okay, yeah, it's probably crappy coaching. We probably could have got more out of it. But the Doug Williams one stings because it was purely organizational stupidity not to pay it. They didn't want to pay a man.
That too, but it was piss poor drafting. You didn't draft the line well enough to protect him. And you would think after the 79 season, he got you to the NFC Championship. Your defense was set. Get the fucking offense. But this is why, Slick, I think people got to realize you got to know what kind of line you want to build. You got to know what kind of scheme you got. You just don't pick the best players. You pick the right players for your team. And that's what the Buccaneers organization, unfortunately, back then didn't understand.
Last draft, me and you did that best available, and it did not turn out very well, did it? And we had to pick the best available, and it was a shit draft.
It was a shit show, and we all be more than likely pulling our heads like, oh my God, but we picked them because that's what, according to everybody, you're supposed to do. No, you go with what's right for your team. And
you pick what you need and what fits into your team.
Yep. And then you let him go for Vinny Testaverde. Now that is an insult. People go, well, look at his career. Yes, his longevity is incredible, but he was mid to good. That's it. For the most part, Vinny Testaverde was decent. He was mid, decent, good. He had, for the overall, decent. But he didn't do anything for us. The Bucs were shitty throughout the 80s. And again, after Doug Williams, the Bucs weren't relevant until Brooks and Sapp. So that tells you 79 to 95. Woo! 16 years of shit. Damn. Yeah, so Doug Williams, and then what does he do? He goes to the Redskins and puts on a clinic against the great John Elway. The other guy, the guy who was the golden boy, Doug Williams. And also, Doug Williams was one of the most accurate throwing quarterbacks. When I went back and looked at the old film, if you dropped the ball, it was your fault. But also, Doug Williams threw the ball so damn hard. Again, and his story is great. The man was playing in the Canadian League, I think. Then he came back, a Louisiana boy. And the thing is, the community in Tampa loved Doug Williams so much. Him, Leroy Selman. Again, Leroy Selman knows a lot of my family. He went to St. John's Church in Tampa with my aunts. My mom knew him. Leroy Selman and all them. Then Doug and them would come around. So it means a lot that that Tampa owed him an apology and they gave it to him. And he was with the Bucs organization for a while. So again, rest in peace to Doug Williams, and shout out to you, Doug. Thank you so much. And again, Bucs, I'm glad in a way you learned your lesson. Shame on you. That man made him and Selman were the pillars of the Buccaneers. They made us relevant. And again, it was a business thing, but also in their defense, I think Tampa so long wanted to, because we were keeping up with the times, we wanted a nasty defense. Because if you think about it, defensively, we were always set. Offensively, we were shit. And there are a lot of organizations that do that, Slick, where one side of the ball, they can be really good, but when it comes to the other side, it's like the Colts to me in the 2000s were a perfect example. Offensively, they get anybody they want. Defensively, it was a hit or a miss. Bob Sanders, I tell people that shit don't count because he's Bob. If I can stay on the field for more than 3 weeks, Sanders, because he was always hurt. Dwight Freeney, again, that's your anomaly. Mathis, he was good for a while, but that's it. Booger McFarland, he was not the same. He was lucky. Booger McFarland to me is the LaShawn McCoy of D tackles. He won one with the Bucs, and then he went to the Colts. Again, but again, you're right. Shout out to Doug Williams. That's one that does sting. Doug, if anything, we did Doug a favor sending him to the fucking 49ers. He played with Joe Montana and Bill Walsh, and he had Jerry Rice, Roger Craig. He had a squad.
Steve Young did have it nice. He did have it nice, didn't he?
Yes, that's like when Edwards went to the Chiefs. You went to a team where you got an elite quarterback, an elite tight end who's really a wide receiver. Shout out to Slick. That's a wide receiver, but that's a whole nother conversation. You had a line, and you also had the refs helping you out because ain't no way in hell Donovan Smith goes from being the most penalized to all of a sudden to being damn near, whatever. Anywho, so you know what I'm saying? That's sometimes you get lucky like that. You go somewhere where it benefits you. And Steve Young can say all the shit he wants, but you cannot tell me being with Joe Montana and Jerry Rice did not help your career. Like I tell people,
for sure.
And I'm a big Steve Young
and the coach,
fan.
Bill Walsh as well.
Yeah, and I
love elite level coaching. Elite level wide receiver, and then a guy who's already spinning at winning Super Bowls as the person who's in front of you.
Yeah.
If you don't get better, there's probably a problem. You're probably not very good.
Yeah, you are the problem. And again, we like Steve Young, but is he Joe to me? Hell no. If it wasn't for Tom, that's how great Tom is. Because even when Tom was playing, people were like, he ain't Joe. He ain't Joe. That's how great Tom is. Tom is so great that I think unanimously we can go, yeah, Joe, it's like, damn, Brady is the GOAT, but Joe is still that guy too. So yes, Steve Young, shout out to Steve, but that one, I think most Bucs fans can go, yeah, that hurts, but it ain't like Doug. That Doug shit stings because it's so many layers to it. Because I'm gonna say this, but it's gonna be mutant. It was a lot of tensions. It was a lot of
tension out there.
It was a lot of tensions, and speaking from the culture, yeah, it was a lot of things because he experienced tensions in Washington because when Doug couldn't play, the players was like, hell no, get that damn quarterback that they had out of here. And Doug was whooping that ass in the Super Bowl, which to me is one of the top 5 greatest Super Bowls of all time because Doug just came in there. He not only that he took them to the Super Bowl, but he won it. He was like, and he was a pioneer for black quarterbacks that show that we are more than just wide receivers, running backs, or defenders.
I really want to get hold of this book. Quarter Black. It's almost impossible to get hold of in this country.
Well,
there's no PDF of it. There's no Amazon library or whatever. You can only buy it in paperback or hard copy in America, and they don't.
When you get here, I got you. When you get here,
we'll get it sorted. But it's one of my books I really want to read.
When you get here, I got you. When you get here in October for the Falcons game, I got you.
Yes,
and I got other gifts
we got this.
too. So don't worry about that. So I got you. You send me. I know the name of the book, but I got you. But again, guys,
it'd be big where you're living right now as well, wouldn't it? Because you're in the DC area.
Yeah, and look, man, I've seen him in nice. I didn't get a chance to talk to him, but I've seen him. Nice guy, very nice individual, a humble guy, and he is the influence of, like I said, black quarterbacks. Like he influenced your Warren Moons, your Randall Cunninghams, and paved the way for your Steve McNairs and Donovan McNabbs, your Michael Vicks. You got that was the guy. And again, and I can say this because this is another thing, despite him winning the Super Bowl, if he would have been with a team that offensively put him in a better position, I guarantee you this, and I say this, hot take, he would have been up there with the Joe Montanas because his accuracy and his vision was so good. And people said, well, why couldn't he do that in Tampa? He had a shitty line. If you go back and look, and then it wasn't like he was throwing to the greatest receivers. I think he was able to have Jimmy Giles for a while, but overall, Tampa was a defense run town because that was the time of the NFL from the 70s to like the early 2000s.
And you had to have the run, and you had to have the running back. You had to have you need to have a lot of things right.
Yeah, right. If
you need what they call the triplets, right? You need a good tight end, an elite wide receiver, and a good to great running back, and then a quarterback to boot.
Right. And I tell people that was the culture back then, and that's why football today is a lot different. Now you can argue whether it's for the better or for worse. Now for me, I think it's for the worse, but that's a whole other topic for another time. But yes, back then, as you just said, if you wasn't a running back, and if you were running the pressure back then, if you couldn't run the ball and be tough, they'd say, hey, you got to sit down. I know that Ray Lewis is out there. I know LT's out there, but you know what? Suck it up. And you didn't even get the kind of money you get nowadays. Yes, you're going to get knocked out of your head for this $110,000. And we're going to tax 30% of that shit too. So, but you're in the league. Knock them dead. So that's why some of these players, I can respect something like, nah, fuck that. You gonna pay me? She gonna pay me. So
get that money in. Okay, so let's do one more. Let's do one more and call it a day.
Yes, sir.
This gentleman was with the team for 5 years. And we thought we were hoping, and we hope.
I know where we're going with this. I know where we're going.
Still in the league. Crab legs are being wrestled from Publix.
Oh, Lord have mercy. I can't do this because I was
Uber drivers running fear.
Look, I don't give a damn what y'all say. If Jameis was OJ, I was Johnny Cochran. I was defending this man to the ends of time. I'm like, give him a chance. Y'all is being fucking rude and disrespectful. And he don't have this because there were certain things that I feel like if Winston had it in his early years, we could be talking about a whole nother thing. Now, hear me out. If he could have had, can you imagine if Winston had Tristan Wirfs as his right tackle? Can you imagine if he had Fournette or hell, even our other guy,
Ronald Jones?
Yeah, Ronald Jones. Because it's not a coincidence that when Doug Martin started molly popping or whatever the fuck he did, when he wasn't the man anymore, that's when Jameis decided to play hero. I tell people, go back to his rookie season. That's when Doug Martin had a strong ass season with 1,300 yards, I think. And Winston didn't have to.
I will give you your due when it comes to Winston. Other than his rookie year, we never had a dominant rushing game, which meant you put the game on Jameis's shoulders. And Jameis is not known for that. Don't get me wrong, he can win when he needs to now and again. Like all quarterbacks are equal in some places. But when you know a guy's only going to do one thing because they can't do the other, you can tee off, which means you're going to get your sacks. You can play with the coverage structure a little bit because you know it's going to turn into picks. I think the problem with Jameis Winston is it's not the fact that you can't read a defense, because everyone said, "Oh, you can't read a defense." It's the tricks that you do in defense by making one thing look open and then sealing it shut. And I think that's the problem with Jameis Winston. He sees the open shot and he's like, "Ooh, I'm taking it." Every time. There's no cautiousness to him.
There's no cautiousness. And
he will go. He throws caution to the wind, and he's like, "I'm throwing this ball."
Yes, he was.
I'm gonna make a play, sir.
He was a gunslinger, and that's why I tell people this. My only issue is if you're gonna have that energy for Winston, and people go, "Oh, but that's different." No, it's not. You got to have that same energy for Favre. Oh, because again, you can say that. Oh, well, no. Favre also had a better line. He also had Ahmad Green to help him. He also had to bail him out.
Sterling Shepard. Sterling Sharp.
Yeah. So
there's some dudes that went to that place.
Yeah, it's a lot of things. When you don't have, and then again, his defense was all over the place. Mike Smith's defense, enough said. That shit was awful. And then
let's face it, we had to win shootouts.
Yes.
Quite often. I think the thing that made it frustrating was there were games like we'd play like the New York Giants or somebody, and we'd lose like a 21-17 game to them, and it was like, oh, we should beat a team like that. Yeah. So when the defense did turn up, it was almost like the offense went, "No, we won't." No.
Yeah, exactly.
Obviously, that was not the case, but yeah. Mike Smith's cover 3 defense was just so it may as well been called cover Swiss.
Yeah,
it had so many fucking holes in it. It was no one could seem to do anything in it, and we just struggled. Like, remember that Saints game? Yeah. And that's probably one of my favorite games. I think it was it might be 2017. It might have been 2018. I'm not entirely sure. Ryan Fitzpatrick comes in. And it's a gunsling between him and Drew Brees. And I believe it's not Kendall Beckwith. It's Quan Alexander makes the fumble recovery play, or he picks the ball off. I can't remember. He seals the game. Someone had to fucking make a play on defense. And luckily for us, it was us. It was literally touchdown.
Yes. Touchdown. Oh no, touchdown. That was the 2018 season because the Bucs came in as an underdog in that game, and it turned into a fucking shootout. But the thing about Fitz is that he was under the radar. The Saints, that's how arrogant they were. They came out with we're gonna. The Bucs punched them in the mouth and they didn't recover. But also, if you go back to that game, like you said, the defense came up early. It was a strip fumble, but if the Bucs had more time, because the way Mike Smith was playing that fucking cushion defense, the Saints could have come back. But luckily, Fitzpatrick did enough. But I also think that again, can you imagine if Winston had Wirfs on his right side, he had our buddy Antoine
Ali
Winfield
Marpet,
on defense.
Big Red.
Yeah, Ali Marpet was there, but again, he didn't have a full.
No, but I'm saying, you think of it.
Yeah.
Tristan Wirfs, Ali Marpet, Big Red. Then let's go with I'm trying to remember his name.
Who, Jensen or?
No, I'm thinking of another tackle.
Oh, do you mean Alex Kappa?
No, he's a guard, and he was with him, so I don't want to go down him. He had gosh, it's a different guard. He retired pretty much when James joined, not long after. Evan.
Are you talking about Logan Smith? Logan
Smith, yeah. You put Logan Smith in, and then who was DeMar Dotson when DeMar Dotson was good? Remember, there was times when DeMar Dotson was solid.
Yeah, sometimes, but then
you put that entire line together. That's a decent line.
That's a decent line. And then if he had a Fournette, but see, that was if he had that kind of squad, I can only imagine, because then he wouldn't have to necessarily be the hero. But again, that is to me where his faults were. Winston still sometimes got in his, not sometimes, but a lot of times he got in his own way, because
sometimes you wish he was a fucking check down Charlie.
Yes, exactly. Because that Falcons game in 2019 sealed his fate. I tell you this, if he wins that game, Brady doesn't come to Tampa.
Oh, we were in the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
We won that game. We had 4, I think it was like 3 or 4 games, and we only had to win one of them.
Yeah.
Texans, Falcons, and somebody else. I can't remember who it was, but there was another, or maybe it was just those 2 teams. I'm not entirely sure. I'd have to go look it up. We only had to win one of them. And every single fucking game, he threw like 6 picks in those two games alone. And we only lost because it was a pick fucking 6.
Yep.
And I believe the Texans was a pick 6 on the first fucking play, and we just lose that game. We play against the Falcons. We go into overtime, throws the pick 6, and it's like, I remember just being, I'm fucking done with this shit now. I'm done. I am done.
At that point,
like you said, I think if we win that game, go to the playoffs. Doesn't matter if we win or lose. There's hope. But it had to happen. You had to throw that pick, because we got Tom Brady in. We're bringing all these pieces, because we talk about, like you mentioned, that having a Leonard Fournette. It's very possible that Leonard Fournette never comes here if James Winston stays. I'm not saying it wouldn't happen, but it's unlikely. And then you look at all the other things that we did as well that probably wouldn't have gone. There's no
Gronk,
Antonio Brown. There's no Gronk. Gronk for the huge part of it. So it becomes a very different thing. So it had to happen for us to get the chip.
Oh, absolutely.
It had to happen, but you do feel like it's a what if. Like, what if James Winston could put it together?
Now, I asked this, and I'm gonna let you let this marinate for you. Imagine if Winston was on the 2023, the 2022 team that Brady was on. Would he or would he not have had a better season? Now that is the kicker, because I told people, if you go back and look at Brady, what was one of everybody knows Brady's biggest weakness was he cannot move. Jameis could move when he needed to.
And not just that. I think that year he was scared to get hit, so he wouldn't let anything develop. He was very just get the ball, throw it out quick. Get the ball, throw it out quick. And when your scheme was pretty much felt like it was go 4 verticals, then who are you going to complete to? You're going to get the yard off chance. Now, I remember when we did sign Tom Brady, I remember going, wouldn't it be cool if we got Jameis to go along with that, and Jameis sits behind him for the 2 years. Tom Brady goes into the sun. And then Jameis Winston's like, I'm ready now.
I learned my lesson.
He ain't been. He's only been the starter for 1 season. Is it 1 or 2 seasons?
Who, Brady?
James Winston at the Saints. I know it was the year after we won the Super Bowl. He was the quarterback.
Yeah,
he got injured. But it's irrelevant. My point being is, if he sat behind, he talked about how he got his quarterback education, his Harvard education, in being a quarterback. at the New Orleans Saints. Okay, that's fine. Whatever. I believe it was a little bit of shade,
Right.
but it doesn't matter. Imagine if he sat behind Tom Brady and just sat there and learned and learned and learned. You know he looks up to Tom Brady because when the Buccaneers played the Patriots, he waited for him outside the away locker room to go meet with him because he wanted to pick his brain, wanted to speak to him, wanted to thank him, wanted to whatever. Yeah. He also said that when he got replaced, that he didn't see it as a bad thing because he was like, I got replaced by Tom fucking Brady. Like, I got replaced by the GOAT. As much as he was bitter that he got replaced, he was like, well, at least I got beaten by an upgrade, not a fucking downgrade.
Facts. I'll say this though. We went 10 games with Winston that year when the Bucs went 8-9. People are like, no way. Yes. As you said, Brady was scared to he was throwing the ball too quick and he wasn't mobile, so he was a sitting duck. At least Jameis would have gotten us out of situations because him being mobile, it would have made defenses have to go, I would have kept defenses honest because they couldn't be one-dimensional. So Winston, I like that I'm glad we're closing with that. Winston had the potential, but
and close with Winston because it is a what if. It is a what if. I mean, the biggest what if is we know that we would. I would honestly say we wouldn't be sat here right now talking about chips. I'll be honest.
No.
I don't, even with all the time elapsed, unless something magical happened, I don't see it happening. So it had to happen. I do kind of wish that we were able to get him to sign for that. Instead of going to the Saints, he just went, yeah, okay, I'll sign. I'll in behind Tom Brady. And then when Tom Brady retires in that 2020, the next 2023 season, there's no Baker Mayfield. It's the Jameis Winston show, and the Jameis Winston show is in full effect. And he's like, I'm going to show you everything I've learned.
Yeah.
I can do the check downs, and I can make the big throws, and I can run, and I can move.
Yep, but as you said,
Cool.
Things had to happen because at this point, I'm so thankful and happy and appreciative we got Baker because Baker is going to be the guy. I just have a feeling with this offensive coordinator. I don't know why Slick people can me wishful thinking, but again, he's going to put us in a position by week 14, your Bucs will clinch the NFC South.
There you go. There you have it. From AJ Turner, he is saying it. I love it. Let's go.
Week 14, we got this because I don't believe in anybody else in this damn division, and it is a nasty division in a bad way. So, but again, guys, I'm glad you guys took a trip down memory lane. I hope you learned some new things. This is a throwback to appreciate the Bucs and the what if, shoulda, coulda, woulda, and we got more of it coming because I got plenty more, Slick. I got 4 more players that I'm going to go into, and we'll go in another time. But again, thank you guys for participating and tuning in on the Bucs Report, the Aftermath on 102.9 Game Broad Street South Radio. Again, you could always check me out and check my personal podcast. It's about Bucking Time. I'm going to be dropping stuff all the time. Check out the merchandise as well. When you check out the links. But as always, go Bucs, and I will see you later, my man Slick. Take care.
See you soon, man. Look after yourself. See you soon, brother. Okay, guys, that is pretty much the end of the show. Thank you for tuning in. Yeah, please comment, like, and subscribe, and unlike, relike, resubscribe, unsubscribe, and relike again because the algorithm keeps working the more you do it. My team's getting prepped for a little bit of a business trip. We got a business trip coming up. That business trip will, if it turns out our way and the way we want it to, or the way we expect it to, hopefully it's an ass whooping for the other team, and we're looking at we'll be 4-1, guaranteed in the playoffs. We're going to play 8 games. If we lose, then we're currently seeded 4th in our conference, so we are looking to keep punching up, see if we can get to that first spot. Because the team that's in the first spot is the team that's beaten us. And they beat us by 4. We intend to come back this time and fucking kick their ass. If we kick their ass twice, we'll play this team 3 times. First one last. We can kick kick their tail 2 more times in this other team. We should be cooking and then take this thing by storm. And it's ring season. But we're still living our Bucs. I know I am. And I know you guys are. So keep tuning in. Wednesdays, 7 p.m. Eastern. Be there. Enjoy. Please comment and like. If you want to come on the show and say your piece, you can come in here, say your piece, talk your stuff. Especially when we're taking this trip down memory lane, we'll be talking about maybe potential games, what if games, what if playoff games, and what if we talked about what if players, what if coaches, were we on the cusp of signing and what if we went down this direction? It's all to come. So let's go get it, guys. Go Bucs. Bucs on me, Bucs on free. 1, 2, 3. Go Bucs.